Hey YouTube, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm finally gonna do the long promised review of the Bobiverse book 2 for We Are Many. Um, I did a sneak preview earlier. You can probably find it somewhere in my videos. I also reviewed book 1 a few months ago. But yeah, book 2 is finally here, and let me tell you, I have listened to it 3 times by now because I just love it. Um, it continues right after the events in book 1, uh, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but that's what it does. And there are more Bobs now. They all have different names. As per book 1, it is, the convention that they give themselves a name because numbers would get too confusing, things like that. Um, we follow a lot more storylines from the first book. So basically, we get to follow Bob 1, or original Bob, or just the Bob, as Ray Porter does it so excellently in the book, and his Deltons. A lot of things happen there. Warning: this is spoilers. Contains spoilers. If you haven't finished the book yet and want to be surprised, don't keep listening. So Bob really tries to, help the Daltons, but by doing so, he kind of gets them from, a bad place into a worse place, or how do you say it in English? From the something into the frying pan? From the fire into the frying pan, I think it is. Which is basically also what gets him kicked out by the Daltons. Now, of course, the Daltons aren't a technological society, so he does stick around and keeps an eye on him, especially his favorite Archimedes. Lots of things happen. I'm not going to tell you everything because then I won't have time left for the rest of the things. Riker and Earth and Homer. Now, this is a plot twist I actually saw coming. Homer had always been like a character that would joke around and be funny and silly, and all of a sudden that changed, and I was like, this is not right. Something is going on. Riker and Homer were in orbit of Earth in the solar system, trying to help humanity survive, building colony ships to get, as many people off of the planet. 1500 ships or 1500 trips is something that's repeated often in this book because that is the problem they have. They have 15 million people on Earth. They can build colony ships that have the capacity to transport 10,000 people at a time, but that means, you have to either build 15,000 ships, 1,500 ships, or do 1,500 trips, which is quite difficult, of course, because you're talking interstellar distances, you're talking, trips that span light years, so it's not like you can immediately, take the bus back. It takes some time. Now, Homer came up with the idea of using farm donuts in book 1, and that is actually helping humanity extend the livable time they have left on Earth. But there's also vehement. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's something like the voluntary extinction of humanity means Earth's natural transformation or something like that. It's a rather complicated thing. And there are, more and more attacks by vehement, and even on one of the farm donuts, which has Riker becoming rather suspicious because what is he missing? How are they doing this? There's no space travel or travel from Earth to space, things like that. So it turns out that Homer has been hacked, and unfortunately, while Riker and I can't remember the name of the other Bob that was there, while they managed to free Homer from the hack and everything, Homer never quite recovers and actually commits suicide in this book, which made me extremely sad because I quite liked Homer and it's such a kicker. But here's the thing, the Bobs do get their revenge because Riker, he starts like investigating who is the person behind this, and he finds out, he finds the main like cell for Vehement in New Zealand, but also the person who is running the whole show, and he sends a few busters their way. Revenge is a dish best served cold, apparently. It's a very satisfying moment in the book, just because, like, the way it's written and done, it's not gratuitous, because if you read the first book and the second book, or just the first book, you know that the Bobs kind of abhor violence. They don't really want to use it, but in this case, it was just like what they did to Homer. It was so brutal because he was aware of everything they made him do. And it was just so satisfying to see them get their comeuppance. Um, then there's Howard, who kind of falls in love with a human, which is a heartbreaking storyline. There's a lot of funny moments in there, but it breaks my heart. Colonel Buttersworth is still around. He is one of my favorite minor characters in the book. I just love him, mainly because the way Ray Porter does his voice, he actually manages to make Colonel Butterworth sound like this stuffy general from Great Britain or something. I absolutely love him. I hope he stays around, because at the end of the book, Butterworth actually gets offered to become replicant himself, seeing as to how Butterworth is. By the end of the book, I think he's around in his 80s, they assume. So yeah, time to get on that. Then there are the mysterious others. Bum bum bum. The biggest plot twist in book 1, I think, was, the discovery of, hey, something took all the metal and killed all the biological life on this planet. What the hell is going on? And we find out that the others are actually a sort of hive-organized insectoid species who are building a Dyson sphere around their planet, because their society is structured in such a way that only like one prime can exist, and they can't, like split off, because that would mean war, done and done. The biggest twist there for me was the fact that at a certain point, there's a bunch of Bobs who are trying to find out where the others are going, stuff like that, and which is really interesting to see. And especially, like, the mention of the Dyson sphere was like, oh, hey, that actually totally makes sense. That would be why they would need all the metal. And yeah, you can guess what they do with the biologics. They pilfer from planets. Now, at a certain point, one of the Bobs gets hailed by the others, and they open a channel, start talking to each other, and it turns out that the others speak Mandarin Chinese, which had me thrown for a loop for a second there, because at first I thought, well, are these Chinese then? Because they did send out a space probe. No, it turns out that the others actually captured the Chinese space probe and, assimilated the Chinese speech thingy into their onboard computer, translator, whatever. The others are still around at the end of book 2 and will definitely have to be dealt with, because they have issued threats against, among other planets, Earth and Vulcan, I think, was in there too. This is where the book sometimes gets a little confusing. You have a lot of Bobs, you have a lot of planets. Some of the planets have just their designation. Other planets have names, but are sometimes still referred to by their designation, so it gets a little confusing there from time to time. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and the PAV. The PAV are awesome. And tragic, because they are a planet that the Bobs discover has a species on it that looks kind of like, what was it, meerkat, I think. They are really strangely organized in a family way, or, well, maybe what we would consider slightly out of the norm or something like that, because they have family units that are like existing of a maximum of 8 people, equally divided among the genders. There's no mention being made of how many genders, because it really isn't important. But the problem is with the path that unfortunately there's a fleet of others headed their way. So the Bob in that system just frantically starts building 2 colony ships to get at least 20,000 of them off of the planet, which is what they do. So they do a massive attempt to relocate at least a part of this species. I'm guessing we'll find out more about how that goes in book 3. And then there's, some interesting discoveries like Poseidon, which is a planet that has no landmass whatsoever, where they are sending some of the, I think, Indonesian and other regions, inhabitants that were left on Earth. There's the Clown Core planet, which is tilted at a very strange axis, things like that. So all in all, I love this book. As you well know, I am a massive fan of this series. I can't wait for book 3. I really hope it gets here soon because I want to know what happens next. Tell me. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me today. Let me know if you've read either one of the books, if you're excited about the third book, if you know when the third book is gonna come out. As always, I hope you had a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you this weekend with the special Swedish vlog. Bye!